All right, so a couple of people asked for an example of a quality dividend after I posted the PowerPoint on how to evaluate one. So I figured we'd do a little example so that everybody can see how to do it on their own. For this, we're going to be using Intel. They're a large blue chip corporation. It's going to be easy to find data. Everybody knows who they are. First, we're going to go to NASDAQ.com, go to Intel, go to our dividend history. First, we can take a peek at the yield, 2.3%. Not really high, but for a tech company, that's pretty good. We'll go down to our history chart here. For Intel, we have history going back until 92. So the early 90s, lots of history to look at. Here, we're going to look for our reliability. That is, are they paying the dividend on time? Are there any cuts? Are there any suspensions? For this, let's say 20 years. So we'll go back to 2001, 2002. We can see here we're paying about 2 cents per share. And then up to today, we're at 34 and 3/4 cents per share with no cuts and no suspensions in between those times. That tells us that we have a very reliable dividend, and the dividend has been increasing over time, many, many hundreds of percents. So 2 check marks on our dividend increases and our lack of cuts or suspensions. Next, we'll head on over to our financials, and we'll start with our cash flow. We'll go down to free cash flow. Here we have the last 5 years. For you, you might be looking at 3 years, you might be looking at 5 years, might be looking at 10 years. You want to find a percentage over a set amount of time that is good for you and what you're looking for. Here we go from 12 billion to 21 billion, so a 75% increase over 5 years. Very good, very stable. Our cash flow is increasing. Next thing we want to do is we want to look for our payout ratios. So we'll start with our payout ratio of free cash flow. For that, we're going to take our dividends paid, which for Intel is 5.41 billion. We divide that by 21.13 billion in free cash flow over the last year, and that gives us 25.5%, well below our 50% ideal ratio for payout of free cash flow. Next, we'll head on over to the income statement, and we want to look at net income right here, and we want to do the same thing. We take our 5.41 billion in dividends paid. We divide that by 20.9 billion in net income. And again, that gives us about a 25% payout ratio of income, well below our 50% mark. So for Intel, we've met all 5 of our factors. We have increasing free cash flow. Both of our payout ratios are good, and our dividend history is great. It's increasing. There's no cuts over the time period we looked at. So as a dividend investment, it's something to look at. But again, you need to remember that this doesn't tell you everything about the company. This doesn't tell you about things they're doing. This doesn't talk about the qualitative aspects. This is just looking at the dividend. From there, you want to do a deeper dive. Maybe you read a 10K. Maybe you look at the financials a little bit deeper. Do what matters for you. I hope this helps, and thank you all.